Tonight, transit troubles.
Really, we're hoping that the city is making changes as quickly as they can because it is having an impact.
Survey results are in. How much longer it's taking commuters to get downtown and what the city is doing in response. Also tonight, ease off the gas.
I think there needs to be a lot of conversation about what may happen.
The Public Service recommends a new default speed limit, what it could be set at, and what needs to happen first. Plus, the dial going dark.
Radio is and always will be the most reliable form of communication.
Why some say lives could be at risk as a federal weather service nears its end.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Changes are coming to Winnipeg's complaint-riddled transit system. The city moved to a new network last year, promising high-frequency service, but many feel that hasn't happened. The recommended adjustments focus on downtown routes. This after a probe research survey found most riders are unhappy with their ride downtown. Live on Graham Avenue tonight with all the details for us is CTV's Jeff Keel. So Jeff, what can you tell us about these changes?
Some of them impact Graham Avenue. Buses no longer run here, and the city is promising to bring riders closer to this stretch during their bus ride. Since the buses were moved off Graham Avenue downtown, walk-up traffic for businesses is down.
Since the bus roads changed, we've noticed it's been slower for sure.
The move was part of the new primary transit network that went into effect last year. Blazing Chicken Shack owner Eric Saniak says customers aren't the only ones impacted. It's taking staff who use the bus longer to get to work.
But now they have to walk quite a bit to get to the restaurant. Before, we had a bus stop right in front of us.
An online survey by Probe Research done between December and January of nearly 1,400 adults showed 84% of respondents are dissatisfied with transit service to and from downtown. They say commute times are up an average of 22 minutes. Half are now finding other ways to get downtown, and 70% are visiting downtown less.
And that's a real concern for us. So it is about how do we come together on this? How do we work together? What improvements can be made?
The survey was commissioned by the Downtown Biz, who has lobbied for those improvements to the system, and it appears some are coming.
We're listening to people, we're taking the feedback, and we're making those adjustments.
Those adjustments will see a host of changes to the spring scheduled in April, plus major changes that impact downtown for the D16, D18, and D19 routes will happen in June if council approves them. The city says the D19 changes will bring buses closer to the Winnipeg Clinic and Graham Avenue. The mayor says this is all based on customer feedback.
I've said all along that the changes, the big change we made to the primary transit network was the right decision, but I'm not pleased with the way it's rolled out. I don't think anyone is pleased. We're having to make a lot of adjustments, but we will make the adjustments.
Now, the cost to make those changes for June on those routes is estimated around $10,000.
So Jeff, what will the spring changes to transit look like then?
The city says that service will be extended on 10 routes after midnight and more buses will be added to busier routes.
All right, thanks for this, Jeff. Well, you may soon have to ease off the gas pedal when driving through Winnipeg. After years of pilot projects, research and community feedback, the Public Service is recommending lowering the city's default speed limit to 40 kilometers an hour. It's currently set at 50 kilometers an hour unless otherwise posted. Now, the key reasons for this proposed reduction is safety. The Public Service says its analysis shows lowering the default speed limit would reduce fatal collisions by 10 to 20% and major injury collisions by 6 to 12%. If accepted, the plan would have far-reaching consequences for the city. The report says the new speed limit would primarily affect residential streets or collector streets. Those are the higher traffic streets that go in and out of neighborhoods. It says collector streets would either need to have traffic calming measures added as they're designed for more traffic, or the speed limits could remain at 50. The downtown area would need its own review to find out which streets could be lowered to 40 as well. Mayor Scott Gillingham says he's taking a wait-and-see approach before deciding whether to support the lower speed limit.
I'm not going to prejudge the debate. This will be a big debate. If the province does permit the City of Winnipeg to change the speed limit, it would be time for a robust discussion with the public, and so we'll wait one step at a time.
To be clear, the recommendation right now would only direct the city to lobby the province to amend the Highway Traffic Act and allow it to set its own default speed limit. It could take another year before a full plan to reduce the speed limit is presented. Separately, city transit buses are being ordered to lower their speeds on some residential streets. After studying bus speeds on nearly half a dozen residential streets, the Public Service found buses intermittently drive faster than 30 kilometers an hour and sometimes exceed the 50 kilometer an hour speed limit. It says going forward, bus drivers will be directed to limit their speed to 30 on all two-way residential streets, which are less than 10 meters wide. It concludes by saying bus drivers will be monitored periodically to make sure they're complying with the new rules. Parents are being encouraged to talk to their kids tonight as police grapple with a spike in threats directed towards schools.
If you haven't already, please sit down with your children tonight. Explain the gravity of these actions. There are real life consequences for those who choose to participate or engage in this type of behavior.
The Winnipeg Police Service has responded to 11 calls regarding school threats between the 3rd and 19th of this month. That's about one every other day. None of them have been deemed credible. To date, 3 people have been arrested, including a 13-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 30-year-old woman from Toronto. A 10-year-old was also referred to the provincial Turnabout program, which helps children under the age of 12 avoid getting caught up in the justice system. 2 of the investigations have ended without criminal charges. Police noted the threats can cause a lot of trauma even when they turn out to be fake, and they consume an enormous amount of police resources.
The last thing that anybody wants is to hear that there's an active threat at your child's school or at a school here in the city. The psychological impacts alone, if a large police contingency is showing up at a school, that can be very, very traumatic. When the police show up, especially a massive amounts of resources, that can be very real. That can be very traumatic.
Police couldn't provide much detail on the other investigations as they are still ongoing. The first returning travelers on a flight from Puerto Vallarta touched down in Winnipeg last night. They experienced firsthand some of the chaos and uncertainty that's characterized the past 72 hours in that resort community. One couple was just leaving a bar where they had been watching the gold medal men's hockey game when the trouble began.
Started noticing when we were leaving back to the condo that some things were not quite right.
A lot of local people were on their phones. They were hearing the news, and we didn't know what was going on.
People were leaving the beaches, and
then we heard a loud bang, like a boom, in the community.
Helen Perry and David Moore were just wrapping up a 3.5-week stay when the violence erupted. Back at their condo, they surveyed the scene from the roof, seeing multiple explosions in the distance. They say some of their friends are still stuck in the area, with their return flights pushed to Sunday at the earliest. Cheryl Thomas also arrived back in Winnipeg last night and described the scene at the Puerto Vallarta airport as packed.
There was no place to sit. There was big, huge lineups for food at the airport. I did hear that some of the people had been stuck there since Sunday, and they were still waiting to try and get out of there.
Thomas, who was staying several kilometers from the most dangerous areas, says she appreciated the calm and reassuring manner of the Mexican authorities on the ground, who told her and fellow vacationers everything was going to be okay as long as people stayed indoors. A decision to shut down a countrywide weather alert system is facing backlash tonight. After 5 decades, Environment Canada's Weatheradio is going off the air. But as CTV's Danton Unger reports, the decision is raising fears it will leave Canadians vulnerable when life-threatening storms hit.
Forecast for the City of Winnipeg issued by Environment Canada.
For nearly a decade, Brennan Harrison has been tuning in to Environment Canada's Weather Radio service.
Wind up to 15 kilometers per hour.
From coast to coast, the Weatheradio broadcasts hourly forecasts and severe weather alerts directly to receivers like this. Radios that Harrison says are far more reliable than your cell phone when the power goes out.
A cell phone uses multiple cell towers, and if those towers go down, your cell phone is basically useless.
But a new message over the airwaves is causing concern.
Please note that the Weatheradio and Hello Weather services will be permanently disconnected.
After 50 years on the air, Environment Canada is shutting down its Weatheradio service across the country as of March 16th.
With all due respect to Environment Canada, I thought it was extremely short-sighted.
It's an about-face for Environment Canada, which back in 2010 said owning a Weatheradio is just as important as having a smoke detector in your home.
Bottom line is that it saves lives.
U of M professor John Hanasak teaches storm chasing courses and relies on Weatheradio when facing extreme weather. He says when dangerous storms are approaching, the Weatheradio can give vital warnings and information to the public, even when cell towers and internet fail.
We can have lots of bad weather, so it's important to have that resource, available to everybody in all locations, really.
Environment and Climate Change Canada tells CTV News, due to increasing costs, maintaining the technology and services used to operate Weatheradio is becoming increasingly challenging. It says emergency weather alerts will continue through other channels like Alert Ready, but Harrison believes the Weatheradio service is still essential.
It's another avenue to keep Canadians safe and save lives. Even if you only save one life, that's worth all the transmitters combined in their price.
Danton Unger, CTV News, Winnipeg.
All right, we know weather can change fast and become dangerous here in this province at any point. What are you tracking for us tonight, Colleen?
Well, not dangerous snow, certainly, but a light snow nonetheless has now moved into the Winnipeg area. It's scattered across the south. It's drifting in the Winnipeg region as well. I will show you how long this snow is going to last and when the temperatures are going to warm up and when they're going to cool right back down again. That's coming up. The CTV Live Eye is brought to you by Bathfitter, exclusive home of the PermaFit solution. In Winnipeg right now, with that snow having just entered the city, it's minus 13 degrees with winds from the south at 24 kilometers an hour. The wind chill feels like minus 23. The pressure's falling and the humidity right now, merely, is 78%.
Thanks, Colleen. Most of the province is looking at a low to moderate risk of spring flooding, according to the latest assessment by Manitoba's Hydrologic Forecast Centre. As it stands now, a moderate flood risk is in effect for the Red, Pembina, Assiniboine, Souris and Qu'Appelle rivers, along with the Interlake region and portions of the Saskatchewan River in northern Manitoba. The risk is considered low for tributaries feeding into the Red and Assiniboine rivers, including the Rat and Roseau rivers, along with eastern Manitoba, the Winnipeg River Basin and the Whiteshell Lakes area. Most Manitoba lakes also have a low risk of spring flooding. However, the agency says the risk is largely dependent on weather conditions and precipitation between now and the spring melt. A new task force has been formed to crack down on meth trafficking in our province. The new group is made up of Manitoba Justice, RCMP, Canada's Border Service Agency, and Winnipeg Police, among other agencies. And they'll be getting advice from Canada's fentanyl czar, who was appointed following complaints from Donald Trump about the flow of drugs over the border. Manitoba's Justice Minister says illicit drugs are often tied to organized crime. The task force will try to disrupt those criminal networks, reduce drug supplies, and coordinate enforcement.
By not addressing the issue in a holistic fashion, I think it leaves us at a disadvantage. We're one step behind the drug dealers and the gangs. So this is an opportunity for us to bring everyone to one table.
The task force says it will learn from approaches other cities are using to stop illegal drugs and ensure our agencies have the tools they need to target the drug traffickers. Manitoba RCMP are warning the public about an online scam involving fraudsters pretending to be police officers. This scam begins with a person getting a random text or email, which includes a link to a video conference with someone claiming to be an officer. They say you'll be arrested unless you help police by sending gift cards or Bitcoin. Now, to convince people they're legitimate, Mounties say these criminals are giving out the real RCMP General Line phone number. RCMP are reminding the public it never asks for money to be transferred or for your personal information to be provided by text. Mounties will also never ask you to provide remote access to your computer. City Councillor Janice Lukes wants to cut to the chase when it comes to bike lanes on Wellington Crescent. She's bringing forward a motion to scrap plans for temporary bike lanes and instead go directly to permanent ones. A new report from city administrators is recommending an engineering consultant design and build an interim bike lane. Now, typically, they would then monitor bike and vehicle traffic before working on a design for a permanent lane. But Lukes wants to scrap that step and go right to a permanent solution.
If we make this permanent, that's also going to solve problems with delivery trucks, with challenges with parking. So I think it's going to be a win-win for everyone, for the cyclists. Without a doubt, permanent provides better protection than temporary.
A public engagement report identified mixed support for a potential bike lane. While 88% of responding cyclists were in favor, roughly 57% of motorists were opposed to the plan. Luke's motion will be brought up at the March 4th Public Works Committee. Still to come tonight, it's going to be a pivotal week for the tensions in the Middle East.
If we don't see progress, Friday is when the countdown really begins.
What's at stake as talks between the U.S. and Iranian officials get underway in Geneva. Plus positive signs for downtown Winnipeg's housing stock. Those stories and more when we return. Taking a look at the markets tonight, crude oil slipped 21 cents. The loonie rose above 73 cents U.S. Gold futures added nearly $50. The TSX was up 156 points. The Dow Jones jumped 307 points, while the Nasdaq closed about 288 points higher. Housing unit permits in downtown Winnipeg have surged to a 15-year high. According to new figures from the city, more than 1,000 new housing units were approved in 2025. The city says that's the highest amount in at least 15 years and could possibly be the highest in the city's history. The figure is nearly double the amount of permits issued in the strongest pre-pandemic years. Officials say even more builds are on the way in 2026, with several projects already announced. We're getting a better understanding of the depth of poverty in Manitoba tonight.
I don't think we can still use the word shock, because it's chronic in Manitoba to have a bad situation for many, many children.
The report by Campaign 2000 finds the depth of poverty, or how far below the poverty line children are living, is greater in Manitoba than the rest of the country. The poverty gap increased to between $14,000 and $19,000 from 2020 to 2023. It's the highest for single parents, where almost 2 out of 3 children are living in poverty. 85,790 children were living in poverty in 2023. That's 270 more than the previous year.
So let's work on those kids. Let's stop doing programs, tax relief, gas tax holidays, that kind of throw the money into way too wide a circle, and let's focus on those families and make sure that they have everything that they need.
Kate Keeler says that includes a living wage, good job strategy, and educational programs. Campaign 2000 is also pushing for a 50% reduction in child poverty by 2028. The province's chief medical examiner has ordered an inquest into the death of a 19-year-old international student who was fatally shot by police during a mental health crisis. Ofalabi Opaso, who was from Nigeria, was shot and killed during a well-being check in December of 2023. Alberta's police watchdog investigated and ultimately ruled the officer who fired was defending himself at the time, as Opaso ran at him armed with 2 knives. The purpose of the inquest is to officially determine the circumstances leading to a person's death and what, if anything, can be done to prevent similar deaths in the future. The inquest is one of 6 announced today. 3 have to do with fatal police shootings, while 3 others are connected to drug overdose deaths while in custody. There will be critical talks between the U.S. and Iran tomorrow in Geneva over Iran's nuclear program. And that country is not reacting well to Donald Trump's threats and the U.S. military buildup in the Middle East. Christiane Cordero reports.
As the U.S. weighs potential military strikes on Iran, today the State and Treasury Departments announced they are rolling out a new wave of sanctions against the country, targeting certain military capabilities, including Iran's shadow fleet used to smuggle oil and weapons.
Thursday is key. If we don't see progress, Friday is when the countdown really begins, where we may see the U.S. with some initial military action.
The Trump administration is trying to pressure Iran into a deal that would stop them from getting nuclear weapons, despite administration officials also saying the U.S. strikes on Iran in June, quote-unquote, obliterated their nuclear program. The president last night said Iran could possibly start their nuclear program back up in the future.
They want to make a deal, but we haven't heard those secret words. We will never have a nuclear weapon.
Trump says he'd prefer a diplomatic solution over military force. Iran's president says they're in the negotiation process, hoping, he says, the country can move beyond a state of, quote, neither war nor peace. A U.S. delegation is scheduled to meet with Iranian counterparts in Geneva tomorrow. And while Trump hasn't set a firm deadline on a nuclear deal, last week he threatened to strike Iran within 10 to 15 days. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
Donald Trump spoke to the American people last night in what was the longest address in the history of the State of the Union. Trump spoke for an hour and 48 minutes.
Our nation is back, bigger, better, richer, and stronger than ever before.
In his speech, he touted his economic record, saying he had ushered in a golden age. He highlighted his immigration crackdown and spending cuts, and he defended his global tariffs. Trump also insisted revenues from his tariffs are saving the country.
As time goes by, I believe the tariffs paid for by foreign countries will, like in the past, substantially replace the modern-day system of income tax, taking a great financial burden off the people that I love.
Now, Democrats were critical of that speech. Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger delivered the party's official rebuttal.
Costs are too high in housing, healthcare, energy, and childcare. And I know these same conversations are being had all across this country. Because since this president took office last year, his reckless trade policies have forced American families to pay more than $1,700 each in tariff costs.
Democrats showed their opposition throughout the speech. Many stayed silent as the room cheered. Others wore badges supporting Epstein survivors and ICE victims. And some stayed away altogether, going instead to a counter rally organized by the Democrats. In his State of the Union address last night, U.S. President Donald Trump did not mention Canada by name, but he did defend his tariff policies, which have fueled the standoff between our two countries. And it comes as the U.S.'s top trade official says renewed in-person talks could be on the horizon. CTV's Mike LeCouture has those details.
State of the Union address. Prime Minister Mark Carney says he didn't watch the State of the Union address, but there are impacts for Canada. President Trump made it clear tariffs are a key plank in his economic plan for the U.S.
The view of the American administration is that there'll be a price to access the American market. I think, every country of the world that I know of is paying a price. What I'm saying is that Canada is paying the lowest price.
But that price could be paid in jobs. The U.S. Trade Representative today making it clear this is about moving manufacturing back to America.
We really want to focus on reshoring here. We want to have production here. We don't necessarily want to be dependent on China, Canada, or anybody else for things like cars and that kind of thing.
The U.S. has 50% levies on steel and aluminum going into their country and 25% tariffs on autos. It's why the Canadian government is trying to diversify trade away from our American neighbors.
GM and Stellantis have been cutting jobs here in Canada. Well, we will look towards Koreans, we will look towards Germans, and we'll look towards Chinese investments.
While looking for other trading partners, Canada continues to work on saving the trade deal with the U.S. and Mexico.
The Canadians, I was in contact with my counterpart just this morning. He's going to come to town in a couple weeks. They have a few ideas on how they might want to have a deal with us. We're obviously open to that.
By comparison, Dominic LeBlanc's office was far less committal. In a statement, a spokesperson for the minister responsible for Canada-U.S. trade would only say LeBlanc and Greer had a number of brief, informal exchanges in recent days about a potential in-person meeting in Washington, D.C. in the near future. Mike LeCouture, CTV News, Ottawa.
The Minister for AI, Evan Solomon, says he was left disappointed following his meeting last night with senior officials from OpenAI. He requested the meeting because the company did not warn police about the Tumbler Ridge shooter.
We are looking for proposals that have to do with the escalation thresholds as to when they would escalate. At what point does both their human and their technical protocols kick in to they report to the police? How do they do that with law enforcement? They're sifting through billions and billions of pieces of data, and we want to see what their thresholds are.
The shooter, Jesse Van Rootseller, had been flagged for violent content in interactions with ChatGPT. The Wall Street Journal reported Van Rootseller's account was banned at least 7 months ago. Up next, a shakeup in the Manitoba curling scene. A hometown star calls it a career, while another rink decides to part ways. Plus, who's in and who's out as the Jets return to the ice after the Olympic break. Stay with us.
Now, the long-range forecast starts off mild, -4, maybe even milder than that will be the highest temperature on Friday morning before the temperature tumbles to around -14 in the afternoon. That's why you see the asterisk there. Temperatures will be falling, not rising. And then they fall right off on Friday night, down to -25 degrees, a cold start to the weekend and end to February Saturday. Mostly sunny with a high of -18 degrees. Sunday, the first day of March and the first day of meteorological spring, -12. Well, it'll get warmer one day later. Monday, -3, mix of sun and cloud, -7 under a mix of sun and cloud on Tuesday.
Have a news tip? When you see news happening, let CTV News Winnipeg know. Text your tips, pictures, and videos to 10400. That's 10400. Message and data rates may apply.
A Manitoba curling great is calling it quits. Reid Carruthers says it's time to hang up his broom after more than 20 years on the ice.
Hard break, dig! Dig, 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 dig. Right up! Good. Nice.
Carruthers got his start alongside Jeff Stoughton, winning both the Brier and World Championship in 2011. He then formed his own rink in 2014, racking up 8 provincial championships and 13 Brier appearances. He also won a silver at the World Mixed Doubles Championships in 2017. The 41-year-old currently serves as coach for Carrie Anerson's rink, who just won the 2026 Scotties. Carruthers says he's looking forward to his next chapter in life. Meantime, a women's curling team in the province is heading its separate ways. Skip Kate Cameron, third Brianne Harris, second Taylor McDonald, and lead Mackenzie Elias are disbanding when the season comes to an end. They formed 3 years ago and are ranked 13th in Canada among women's teams. Cameron's rink recently lost a semi-final match at the 2026 Women of the Rings Championship, missing out on qualifying for the Scotties Tournament of Hearts. The NHL returns to post-Olympic play tonight with the Winnipeg Jets in Vancouver to face the Canucks. And head coach Scott Arniel had a number of updates on his players.
Neil's injury isn't from his own. He actually got re-hurt again here this past week, and so he is now week to week. Nino now is going week to week. He came out today to see if it was, he's had an injury, prior to the Olympics that's kind of been bothering him, and so he's going week to week.
Additionally, Arniel says Josh Morrissey is not coming along for this road trip, but will hopefully be back next week. Hayden Fleury has returned to practice in a non-contact jersey. Arniel says he's considered day-to-day but won't play tonight. Fleury was stretchered off the ice last month after colliding into the boards during a game against Vegas. On the plus side, star sniper Kyle Connor is hitting the ice tonight after returning early from the United States, where he's fresh off an Olympic gold medal win.
It's, it was awesome, really cool experience, obviously a dream, and, some of the things were out of my control the way it was, and all you can do in that situation is try to be a great teammate. If your time's ever called and you go out there and play your game and, play the way I know how to play. And so that being said, that's kind of how I approached it, and I'm trying to contribute in any way possible.
Eric Comrie starting in net tonight. Puck drop from Vancouver goes at 9 o'clock.
The Hockey Report, brought to you by Santa Lucia Pizza. Check out the game day special.
Comrie's in net because not on the ice tonight is netminder Connor Hellebuck, who will soon have another award to add to his trophy case.
It's cold. the highest civilian honor in our country, the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Hellebuck was lights out for the Americans at the Winter Olympics, especially during Team USA's 2-1 overtime win over Canada in the gold medal game. Hellebuck and his U.S. teammates visited with President Donald Trump at the White House Tuesday afternoon before attending last night's State of the Union address. Other athletes who have received the Presidential Medal of Freedom include Tiger Woods, Babe Ruth, Michael Jordan, and Muhammad Ali.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
Hellebuck was definitely the star of that gold medal game. I got to give some credit to whoever was doing the social media for the Jets during that game, because they had some great posts they were putting out, over some of the plays and how the game was going. Obviously, hoping for a Canada win, but, cheering on Hellebuck along the way. So whoever was behind some of those tweets, I thoroughly enjoyed them amongst my sadness of the outcome of that game.
Absolutely. Well, we'll get them 4 years from now. Don't worry about that. What we'll get tonight, some light snow. It's already made its way into Winnipeg. You can see it's scattered across the south. It's going to last for a few hours across southern Manitoba before it wraps up. It got to Winnipeg really within the last half an hour or so. It's drifting as well, and these winds coming up out of the south. Now, an area of high pressure over northwestern Ontario kept that region sunny today. Clouds are now encroaching because as the snow wraps up on the Manitoba side of the provincial border, it will start to move in to Ontario after midnight or so. So here it is right now. There's not a lot to it, but other areas will see some snow tonight as well. A little further north, Flin Flon and the Paw. For a few hours anyway. Then we move throughout the overnight hours. You can see this is going to wrap up in Manitoba. Now, as it does overnight, there's the possibility across the south of both fog patches developing and freezing drizzle. So do watch out for that if you have any overnight driving to do and into the commute tomorrow morning. It could be a little hard to see if that does develop, and it could be a little slippery if we do see freezing drizzle as well. When we get into the morning hours again, once we get past commute time, that possibility of either one of those things will start to subside. Otherwise, a mix of sun and cloud tomorrow. There is the possibility we could get clipped just on this tail end by a few flurries here in the Winnipeg area, but otherwise, other regions will see another round of snow because there is warm air on the way. We didn't feel it today so much, but it has been crossing Alberta and Saskatchewan. Tomorrow we'll feel it, and we will continue to feel it by late tomorrow night and into Friday, but it will also bring various types of precipitation, as you can see. As we get into Friday morning, as I was mentioning with the long range, will be pretty mild in the morning, but then the winds will shift and they will send temperatures falling back down into the mid-minus teens across the south, with that snow continuing to fall a little further to the north. So you see the asterisk there that tells you temperatures will be rising tonight instead of falling a couple of degrees. We should land around -10 by tomorrow morning. Light snow wrapping up late tonight, early overnight, and then again watch for the possibility of fog patches or that risk of freezing drizzle overnight. Winds at their top speed out of the south at 20 kilometers an hour. Fog again possible in the morning. Still around -10. We head up to a high of -4 degrees under a mix of sun and cloud. Up into the northeast tonight, just a few clouds over Churchill and Gillam will allow temperatures to drop as cold as -30 over Churchill. A good chance of snow tonight in Thompson, -24 there. Cloudy for much of the northeast tomorrow, but a range in temperatures. -13 for Island Lake tomorrow. Churchill, by contrast, just -24. Light snow tonight for Flin Flon and the Paw. You'll get a break for a few hours tomorrow morning, and then snow resumes across the northwest tomorrow. Some pretty mild highs for Flin Flon and the Paw. In the southwest tonight, that light snow falling now. Most areas will see temperatures rise. Brandon and Neepawa will see temperatures rise overnight. Dauphin too. And then tomorrow, snow continues for Dauphin and for Swan River. Mix of sun and cloud for Brandon, but those mild highs right around freezing. Winnipeg in the southeast, snow ending late tonight. Again, watch for fog or freezing drizzle. Light snow continuing around Pinawa and Barons River. Mix of sun and cloud for Winnipeg and the surrounding areas. And in northwestern Ontario tonight, snow getting to you late tonight through the overnight hours. It should continue into the morning before it wraps up in Kenora a little later for Dryden and Fort Francis. Our first weather photo takes us up along Provincial Road 280. That starts around near Thompson, goes right into the town of Gillam. That photo is from Duke, a lovely photo. And this is Laurie's backyard near Lorette. Send us your weather photos to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
Still to come, healthcare advocates are calling for action to reverse a concerning cancer trend. We'll have more on the push to eliminate cervical cancer when we return. School teachers continue to struggle with AI in the classroom. While it can create efficiency, a new report shows keeping pace with it is a major source of stress. That new research is coming from Education Perfect, and Tom D'Amico, who is on its Learning Advisory Board, joins me now to discuss the findings. Tom, good to speak with you.
Nice to be with you, Marlene.
First, maybe just give us an idea of how many teachers are, feeling stressed about the pace of the AI rollout in our schools.
Well, the most recent study that came out from Education Perfect, it's citing about 77% of teachers saying it's really difficult to keep up with the pace of this change. That's relevant. It's very comparable to other studies that have come out recently, both in North America and right around the world. So we know it's a stressful time for educators. Most people think of the key 1 or 2 or 3 main large language model AI tools, but there's now over 46,000 AI tools, so there's no wonder people are feeling stressed.
Yeah, that's definitely a big number. And it's also worth noting that the teachers you spoke with are not exactly resistant to AI like many might think. They're just overwhelmed. So what are the main concerns they have?
Yeah, that's a real important point. The majority want to do whatever they can to help students learn. That's really important. That's the reason they got into the profession. And if there's an AI tool like Education Perfect's offering that will help students, they want to do that. They want to do it properly. But at the same time, they're concerned with data privacy. They're concerned with security. They want to make sure that they're working in a walled garden type of environment with the products that their district are bringing in. And we're seeing right across Canada that training has not kept up with the pace of this change.
Are older teachers having a more difficult time adapting to this technology than, say, younger teachers?
Yeah, it really has nothing to do with age. We're seeing that the adoption rates by educators, it really is similar across all different profiles. So it's not older teachers versus younger teachers. It really is just there's so much happening in education, there's so many demands, and AI is a powerful tool to help with some of those areas, but people need to be trained on AI literacy, both as staff members, so that they can help students with their AI literacy.
Yeah, based on your findings, what would help these teachers?
Yeah, certainly one thing in Canada we don't have is a national strategy. We know federally that Minister Solomon is looking at an AI strategy for Canada, but provincially is where education rests in terms of the jurisdiction. So every province is going at this on their own. Some provinces came out early, like British Columbia and New Brunswick. They've put out guidance for their school boards and their school districts. Other provinces are now catching up. I know Manitoba is taking a great approach. Their Premier Canoe kicked things off along with Minister Schmidt, and they brought together about 650 thought leaders, and they're working together to find the right solutions for implementation.
Well, Tom, I want to thank you for your insight into this new report. It was great speaking with you.
Great, you're welcome. Thank you.
Advocates were in Ottawa today calling for action to reverse a concerning cancer trend. Cervical cancer is the fastest growing type of cancer in the country, and experts say it's almost completely preventable. The Women's Health Coalition of Canada and the Society of Gynecological Oncology of Canada are among the groups pushing for better detection and prevention of cervical cancer. Most cases are caused by HPV, which a vaccine is available for. Canada has a goal of eliminating cervical cancer by 2040 by vaccinating 90% of kids under the age of 18. A new campaign from Childhood Cancer Canada titled Let's Face the Unimaginable is outlining the situations facing families whose children have received a cancer diagnosis.
You say you can't imagine your child being diagnosed with cancer, but you can.
More than 10,000 families in Canada are currently caring for a child with cancer, with an average of 6 new diagnoses each day.
The first reaction, you're telling someone outside of your circle that your child has cancer, they immediately go to, I can't imagine what that feels like, and it's almost that sort of stops the conversation, as opposed to driving people into it, because really you can. You can.
You can learn more about the campaign by visiting childhoodcancer.ca.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manuke and Koster Denture Clinic.
Some returning favorites and some new faces are in the running to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Plus, some of the world's top Irish dancers are en route to Winnipeg. All those details next in Spotlight.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Ravine, the legend continues.
Some of the world's top Irish dancers will jig their way into Winnipeg this spring. A Taste of Ireland features a cast of former national and world Irish dance champions. A blend of cultural traditions and a modern flair, the story follows the birth of a nation through the rhythm and beat from the Vikings landing to the rise and fall of rebellion. You can catch A Taste of Ireland Saturday, May 30th at the Burton Cummings Theatre. Tickets go on sale Friday through Ticketmaster. A popular show is returning to Manitoba Theatre for young people. Pop is back by popular demand from February 27th through March 8th. It features the mischievous Boogie and Woogie, who take you on a sea adventure using their markers to create imaginary worlds.
We want that our audience want to experience their inner child and feel the emotions of missing someone or somebody.
Doodle Pop is recommended for children ages 3 to 8. Tickets are available through MTYP's box office. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has announced its nominees for 2026.
Please give me one more night. Give me one more night.
They include Lauryn Hill, Phil Collins, Wu-Tang Clan, Shakira, and Luther Vandross. This year's list is the largest ever with 17 artists. 10 of them are first-time nominees. The only artist to make the list in their first year of eligibility is Pink. Returning to the ballot again are the Black Crowes and Billy Idol. Oasis is also back on the list despite singer Liam Gallagher disavowing the Hall of Fame. Heavy metal band Iron Maiden is also returning for the third time. And legendary metal band Metallica has announced plans for a Las Vegas residency at the city's iconic Sphere. Rumors had been swirling that the band was planning to set a few dates at the Sphere. Today, Metallica confirmed they'll play 8 nights there, Thursdays and Saturdays throughout the month of October. The announcement says the band will play music spanning their catalog, enhanced by the venue's immersive technologies. Tickets go on sale March 6th. Tom Hanks has played a lot of real people, from Fred Rogers to Walt Disney, but never a president until now. Hanks is set to play Abraham Lincoln in an adaptation of George Saunders' best-selling novel, Lincoln in the Bardo. He'll also produce the project. It will reportedly combine stop-motion animation and live action. No release date has been set. Coming up tonight on your primetime lineup, The Masked Singer starts at 7. Fear Factor House of Fear is on at 8. And 2 episodes of Scrubs wraps up the night at 9. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
I thought about it. I figured, hey, I may as well give it a try. I'm kind of trying to just get started as an artist.
And just like that, one local artist's work is going to be seen across the country on the covers of the Yellow Pages. Her story when we return.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&Teak Spa Salon.
Light snow falling and drifting in Winnipeg, minus 13 degrees with those south winds. It feels like minus 23. Minus 13. Well, that was the highest temperature today, well below normal for this time of year. 1958, can you imagine 11.7 degrees? Temperatures rising to about minus 10 by morning. Light snow ending late tonight. We could see fog or freezing drizzle overnight into the commute on Thursday. Minus 4, mix of sun and clouds. 0 on Friday in the morning before the temperature falls to minus 14 in the afternoon. That's why the asterisk is there. Cold throughout the weekend, much warmer next week.
Thanks, Colleen. A local artist has won a national competition and will have her work featured on a directory across the country.
A friend of mine kind of notified me that there's this cover contest for the Yellow Pages.
Carrie Subkowicz decided to give it a try, and she entered a few submissions. One of those entries won. It features a strip of businesses along Academy Road.
My idea was to find local, independent businesses, because the theme of Yellow Pages was support your community, support local.
She used Street View to find the right scene and then painted it in her free time over a week and a half. The full-time grade 4 teacher hopes having her artwork featured on the Yellow Pages will give a boost to her artistic business. She's currently working on a series of paintings featuring farm life, something that brings her back to her roots growing up on a cattle farm in Fisher Branch. She expects to continue that series over the next several years. Amazing work. Congratulations.
So talented. Yes, congrats.
Yeah. You get new reason to admire your Yellow Pages now.
No kidding.
All right,
Beautiful work.
Yeah. That does it for us tonight. Have a great night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Good night.